Welcome to the Apex Legends podcast, where we talk about Apex Legends. We've got a bunch of stuff to chat about today. Is Apex Legends dying? Are they making mistakes with marketing? And what's going on with all the leaks? We've got a bunch of stuff to chat about. We've got a lot of concerns. I'm here, the Gaming Merchant, and I'm with Jack here. Let's get chatting. How are you doing, Jack?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. How about yourself?
I'm good. Enjoying the new mode. But today we're going to jump in and talk about, is Apex making a mistake with marketing? I feel like it was a bit of a weird situation going into this latest event, because usually they drop a trailer around the same time every Thursday, a week before the event goes live. There was no trailer. And in the meantime, all of the skins had already been leaked online, tons of footage online. It's almost like they're at the mercy of these leakers at this point. And I feel like, I don't know, they need to make some drastic steps to change things, because if they don't work on that, then, I mean, people get bored real quick.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an issue at the minute. I think with the whole marketing team itself of Apex, from what I'm aware, I'm pretty sure they messed up on the actual release of the trailer. They were meant to release a trailer. I think they started trying to release the original Gaiden event trailer, and then only a few seconds came out, and they never followed up with that. And eventually they decided to release the rest of the trailer, obviously yesterday, which came out with the event. But yeah, at the minute, the marketing is just all over the place. And I mean, as someone myself, I go into the game files and I go through and leak certain bits of content. I don't think it's too bad, but what we should be doing is we should be having teasers for these events before the leakers can get out there and tease it themselves. And that would create a much better marketing platform for Apex.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like they release an update, or in fact, whatever they do, the leakers somehow get hold of an early build, and they just put everything out there right in front of our eyes. And, you know, that's exciting to see everything immediately, but then there's literally nothing to be excited about. You know what's coming, you know what legends are coming, you know what modes are coming. When the trailer drops, it's not really generating as much hype. When I see a trailer, I'm not as excited in the past, because I'm like, well, I know what I'm going to see. So I guess it starts with them solving this leaking problem. I don't know how they've done it, but for seasons in a row now, every single update, from the new patch, the new season launch, to just small updates, to just all the gameplay is leaked ahead of time, streamed on Twitch at sometimes. And they not only have they not really done anything about it, they don't talk about it. They don't really let us know what's going on, and at least from the content creator side of things, that's just like, it's ridiculous. I don't know. I really hope they change that, because yeah.
I mean, if we just have a look at Newcastle here, Newcastle was released, and I'm pretty sure everybody knew it was Newcastle before the release of this season. Like, everybody had already seen it. The leaks were already out there. It doesn't help with having all the insider leaks. Certainly, that's a problem which Apex needs to address. Personally, what doesn't help as well is, I get that they need to test it. They need to put these files in the game beforehand for the leaks. Hence why people like myself are able to go into the game files, and I'm able to go and have a look at what the models are. But the issue is, if they didn't do that beforehand, you wouldn't have so many of these leaks. And then they obviously need to look at what they're doing with their security as well, to prevent people from leaking insider leaks. I mean, we just look at someone like Ezra RC, who's going in and leaking actual insider builds for much more future builds of Apex Legends, and that's something which hasn't really been addressed too much. Not really much is going on with that. But a prime example, like you just said there, basically with Newcastle and with all the trailers that come out, we're already aware of what's coming out before we see the amazing work that the Apex team basically put into the game. And that, I think, is what's causing a lot of distrust and also problems with the game as well, because people are getting bored before the content even comes out. And it's a big issue.
Yeah, it is. And I think that kind of is a part of why, you know, I wouldn't necessarily say Apex is dying, but, you know, a lot of the long-term players are feeling that way right now, and I think that's somewhat to do with that, just the way they handle, like, presenting us content. And speaking of presenting content, if they actually want to present content, then they need to actually bring us content, which is, I mean, if you compare it to every single other game, there's some problems. If you look at the recent game modes in Apex, Armed and Dangerous, well, we've had that multiple times. Control is a lot of fun, but we've had that multiple times. We haven't really had any good LTMs, like new ones, for a long time. It's almost like most of the content isn't really anything new. So it's no wonder a lot of sort of the overall opinion of Apex right now for the long-term players, I'm bored. You know, I don't know what they're doing, but a lot of people are getting bored, and it is a problem.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that is part of it. I mean, not only do the leaks of all the trailers come into it, but then we just look at the actual content that they're developing right now. I think when we look at control mode, that was an absolute brilliant idea for them to bring in. But then they've sort of brought in control, and that was kind of the last good thing that they actually did, which was unique to the game. That was the only thing which they added in, which is adding any new content, anything which people really wanted. I mean, let's be honest, we're looking at Armed and Dangerous right now. That is the current game mode, but I mean, they are just recycling this game mode, and they are just bringing out content we've already had before. And let's be honest, is it a game mode people really want to be playing? Personally, it's something for myself I play, and I think this is great, but I don't really enjoy playing with the snipers or the shotguns. It's not really the sort of gun I enjoy going around the map using. And then you think about how many other players are probably thinking the same thing. They're looking at the game mode thinking, yeah, this is great. And as we experienced yesterday, we went into the game and we could hardly find any of the guns to actually play it. So, I mean, are they even testing the game? I don't really know. It's a bit bizarre.
It is. I don't know what's gone on with the loophole in that game, but it's not. You know, you can hardly find weapons sometimes. But I just don't get it. I don't know what's going on inside the company. I know that they are doing some stuff right. They do create a lot of good skins. Admittedly, they look really cool. But content-wise, it's just kind of. I don't know why we're getting the same game modes, and then something like Armed and Dangerous, which is literally shotguns and snipers only, to me, something that maybe you could just throw on the game for a couple of days on the weekend. You know, it's a really simple concept. It should not be that hard to introduce that as a game mode. I don't know why they're making this decision to not really push out more content. I mean, if we talk about future game modes that we know about, then okay, there's some good stuff in the works. We know there is some kind of TDM or gun game mode coming, which is going to be really fun. Once again, I guess it's going to be like control mode. It'll pop up for a few weeks and then disappear, but that's going to be refreshing. I guess for whatever reason, it's taken them a really, really long time to actually bring in new content or new people at Respawn to make these game modes. Maybe it's really hard. I think that's a problem with Apex running a pretty old engine. It's running this Counter-Strike engine and not like Unreal, like Fortnite. So it's a bit difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think coming on to that point as well, I mean, we're already aware here of future game modes and what's going to be coming into the game. Well, if we're already aware of what's going to be coming into the game before they've even properly announced what's going to be coming into the game, that there is a problem, because we're already looking ahead at what content is coming into the game, which is going to make people sort of start getting a bit bored as well of what's in the game itself. And again, what sort of game modes are we looking to have? Why don't we have some more teasers from Apex of what's to come? Why don't we have videos or Twitter posts, YouTube clips, even 30-second clips, something like that, just to tease some new content coming into the game? We don't get any of that. And it's the same with like guns or new weapon packs. You don't get that. The only ones which are providing that type of content is the leakers. And then I suppose you've got the conversation of maybe they're just relying on the leakers at this point to do their job for them and to tease that content. Why are they not content teasing themselves? I don't get it. I don't get it.
But, I do wonder that. I do wonder, like, they're not really trying. I mean, from the outside, what we can see, it doesn't look like they're trying that hard to stop the leaks. So who knows? Maybe that's secretly their plan. I don't really know if developers really ever really truly doing that, but I don't know. Maybe Apex has been a funny one. because ever since the beginning, there's been data mining and leaks, and they even put Forge, a character, in the game files to try and trick data miners. It kind of worked, but that also kind of flopped because the data miners figured it out. It was just a false flag. Maybe Respawn at some point sat down and said, look, the leakers are doing a better job at this than we are. Let's just let them do it. I don't know. It might be the case. It creates a lot of conversation. When a leak video goes up on YouTube, everybody will see it, and they don't say anything about it. So it wouldn't surprise me.
Absolutely.
It really wouldn't.
Yeah, I think you've got certain developers as well, which, I mean, if you go onto their Twitters, they are very well following some of the leakers themselves, like the big name leakers. They are already talking to them, and they're already discussing some of those leaks themselves and sort of hinting towards it themselves as well. So it wouldn't surprise me at this point whether or not that's being done or not. But yeah, I do think, I mean, you've played since, you and I, we both started around the same time. You continued the game throughout Apex Legends history, whereas I took breaks here and there. But for yourself, I mean, do you think that the content's getting worse, or do you think it's been the same, forever? Is this always what the state of the game's been like, from what you can remember?
I think that since the very start, they've had a very sort of. I mean, okay, we have to compare it to other Battle Royale games like Fortnite and Warzone. Regardless of what you think about, dev crunch and all that, like devs working overtime, I get it, it's not a great thing. But Apex has always had a pretty bad content release schedule. But what I really liked at the beginning of the games is they talked to us. They communicated. They released dev streams every month. They told us what they were doing. They talked a bit more about buffs and nerfs and balancing. They've just gone silent. I think part of it is due to the fact that they do get a lot of harassment because people get they love the game so much that they hate when things aren't going well. So they pour all of that hate into the devs, who are real people. So I think they just kind of stepped away from communicating with the community, which sucks because we now are kind of left in the dark besides the leaks. And I think that I would love to see a world where there's more Apex content, but I accept if that's never going to happen. I just wish that they kind of communicated more and gave us more insight into what's coming like they did in the past. It's definitely gotten worse, I would say, over time, in terms of just letting us know what's going on.
Yeah, and again, I mean, it's down to that same old problem of how are they releasing this information updates. I'll be honest with you, the amount of effort they put into the trailers, you look at the guide and event trailer, which we had yesterday, that was actually really good. I enjoyed watching that. Same with the stories from the Outlands trailers. All of them are actually very, very good in content. But as we've already said, we're not getting any updates beforehand, and by the time it actually comes out to the players, I think players are getting bored. Players are getting frustrated just because we're not getting more information sooner than that, and therefore you've got people going off to other games. And if it's something which has gotten worse, you've got to start questioning why. Why is that? Is that because they've gone, yes, this has been a successful game. It's a game which has done really, really well. Is it now time for us to move on? Or is it just laziness? I don't know the answer, but it's something which is certainly a problem at the minute in Apex. And I suppose that brings us on to the point of, is Apex Legends a game which is dying out? Is it a game which is going? What do you think?
I think that it's a bit of a meme since the very early days of Apex. Everyone calls Apex a dead game because it had a massive start, and then it really did have some struggling moments in the first year. But players keep coming back, and I think that's because the actual gameplay is really good. I think they did a really good job at actually making the gameplay, the core gameplay, really fun. So thankfully, that's the saving grace of Apex, and I think it's gonna keep on going for a while. But this last season, I would say, has been the most difficult time for the kind of core audience, the loyal players. They've been the most frustrated, and I think when you have a game that relies on the gameplay as opposed to frequent content updates like Fortnite, you do have a situation where you're like, if you're going to frustrate these long-time players, they're going to quit and they are not coming back. And then you got a big problem on your hands. Becomes a point for a lot of players where some bugs that you just hear no communication about, lack of content that you hear no communication about, it's enough to make you go, I'm not playing Apex after thousands of hours because it's not enjoyable. I'm not seeing this good relationship between me and the developers, because these heavily invested players are the ones that are going to keep the game going, because, well, they're not releasing enough content to bring new players in regularly. So I don't know. I do feel like it has a long life ahead of it, but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they start to struggle if players get bored. The long-term players get bored, and who knows? Maybe in a year, two, things could be a little challenging for Apex if they don't realize that and sort things out.
Absolutely, and yeah, I think you're absolutely right on the point where you make, saying that this game is a game which is really good still. It's a game which is unique. You haven't got other games which have the exact same sort of traits to it. You've got games which have copied it since, but you know, we've had that sort of instant, I think a couple of months back, where you had Call of Duty pros, players, streamers, they all ended up coming back over to Apex Legends because it is such a good game, and it is a game which is unique in that way. But as you've also said, the issue is the fact that we are not getting more updates and we're not getting more content, and that is going to make people get bored. I know many people, myself personally, which have turned around and said, look, yeah, I like the idea of Apex, but it's the same thing. It's the same game over and over and over again. And all they're doing, and what it seems like all they're doing, is releasing skins. And I think that also is causing problems. I mean, let's just take a look at the Bloodhound Prestige skin that we had released. That skin was released at an astronomical amount of money, and a lot of people bought it because it was such a unique type of skin. And then a couple of months later, they released another skin for Bloodhound, which most people turned around and said, well, that skin is a lot better than the Prestige skin. And so why would we spend our money on something which, okay, will help the game out, but why would we spend our money on a high-end Prestige skin when we can turn around and spend it on a better looking, lower prestige, lower epic or legendary skin, and we'll be able to actually help or play the game with the same skin? And I think that there is another issue, because looking at finances and the money, the devs are only focused on bringing in money through skins at the minute, and that's the only way that they're actually focusing on the game content. They're just turning around and going, let's bring out brand new skins which are better than the skins we've already released, which means the content you're getting is just new skins. That is it. We need to be looking at game modes. We need to be looking at new content inside the game to play. I just think that's one of the biggest issues. But yeah, I think the game is going to struggle, like you said, in a couple years' time. If we come on to, let's say, another 2 years' time, and then they're keeping up with this pace of content when nothing good is coming out, they've got nothing really, really interesting in the works. If nothing does come out soon, the game will just slowly dwindle off. Let's compare it to Fortnite. Fortnite is a game which gets, okay, it's going to wind a lot of people up, me saying the name Fortnite, but let's be honest, that game has got so many updates. They redo the maps almost every single season, and they've got, okay, the skins they've got are unique to certain TV series and bits like that. Which, in fairness to Apex Legends, this Gaiden event, they have done that with anime, which is actually amazing. I'm quite happy about that. But yeah, we have a look at the type of content, and we look at Fortnite as an opposition here, where they're actually bringing out a lot of new content and types of content inside the game, unlike Apex Legends. Which I think, like you said, if we do not get brand new content in the next coming years, we could end up having Apex die out because we're not getting new content.
Yeah, I agree. Fortnite is like, I mean, I accept that no game is going to be able to push out as much content as Fortnite, but it's like comparing it as a player, not from the developer standpoint, it's painful, because just thinking about the fact that they sometimes even get weekly updates filled with actual content. They just bring in new guns, new features, new little gadgets. I don't know what they're actually called in that game, but they also do all sorts of like little teasers all the way through the season leading up to the new season. There's all sorts of stuff going on there in that game. I think what they've done, they've gone through the approach of creating a game that is fun first, and it really, really appeals to the casual player, the person who can just hop on, doesn't care about like building a million builds per second, and just enjoys what there is to offer. They do a really good job with that. And I think Apex is a little, maybe they're scared to introduce too many changes too quickly. They're worried people might get frustrated, the balancing might go a little bit wonky, people might quit. But I think that would do a better job at bringing in casual players to at least experience the fun side of things more regularly. Because right now, as the game's getting older, I feel like, from my experience, it's getting sweatier. It's only like the long-term players, like I said before. So they need to just bring in like weekend playlists. They need to bring in party modes where it's like, I don't know, you just get a rotation of old returning game modes. They need to just do like what they did in April Fool's, where they had the Nessie gun. Like, someone had to code the Nessie gun, which you shoot a Mozambique and a little cute Nessie follows you around and attacks enemies. Just fun stuff like that. Just get a few devs working on this stuff. Just put it in. Just sprinkle it in here and there. It gives people something to return to, as opposed to just the same old sweaty battle royale. I would really love them to see that. See them do that. I really hope that they do, because yeah, obviously comparing to Fortnite, it's a tricky one.
Yeah, absolutely, and I completely agree with you there. That's the Nessie event. I mean, let's be honest. When you say the Nessie event, it brings a smile to my face because it was so good. It was good fun. And then you think of other events, and you think of like the recent one, Armed and Dangerous. Does that bring a smile to your face? Personally, no to me. I look at it and I just think, yeah, Armed and Dangerous, all right, it's a cool little gimmick. But as you said as well, it should be something where we have it on a rotation basis. So it should be something where we don't have it, okay, at the minute they're doing it per an event. We should have it more regularly. We should have it so it's on a weekend. You could have it even on like an hour timer. So you got Armed and Dangerous for an hour. Next hour you have Nessie guns. They've already developed this the writing of the program to be able to do that. They should be able to just implement it in there and give people content. But I suppose they might be thinking that people will get bored quicker of the game because they have all the content they've ever released. It's sort of at the touch of your hand. But with regards to Fortnite, going back to that as well, I'd say you're right with the player experience. If we look at the player experience, that is something which is really, really key here. Because in Fortnite, they've even got challenge. Okay, Apex has challenges, but Fortnite have challenges which are, I'd say, quite unique to the Battle Pass. And you have to do the challenges to unlock parts on the Battle Pass, which brings in a bit more of a player element as well, and something else to achieve in the game, as well as just, honestly, the store rotation in that game, I think, rotates and updates a lot quicker than the Apex one. So again, you're looking at it from a money point of view. But yeah, I think at this point, Apex really need to do something drastic. They need to do something to bring up the game, because this season has not been good for the game at all. Not at all.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
I don't know about you. I mean, have you heard? I suppose this brings us on to a really popular hashtag at the minute. Have you heard of hashtag No Apex August? Have you heard of that?
I have heard of it, yeah. A lot of people are pretty mad at the developers. They want to boycott it. They want to not play Apex Legends throughout the entirety of August. It's going to be hard to do that in a month that has the new season. A lot of people who are unaware of it are just going to jump in and play it anyway. But I get where people are coming from with this. There's a lot of bugs that have been in the game for a long time. Xbox players couldn't play the game for quite a while. They literally just, there was like input delay. You literally had really bad input delay, so you just couldn't play. They fixed that, thankfully. Loba was broken for a long time, and with rumors of her getting the heirloom next. Yeah, a lot of people were mad at that. Wraith, she literally could just tank a load of bullets. There was some hit reg problems with her. All of these problems, a lot of people were mad about, but they did fix these issues. Respawn has fixed these issues. So the main sort of core idea of No Apex August, it doesn't have much to stand on in terms of the particular reason, so to speak. Each individual bug and problem with the game, But I think that it does highlight a big problem is that, yes, they do fix these problems, but they fix them so slowly. It's the same problem with the content in that it just takes them a long time to get through these problems. And I don't know what their plans are. I hope that they see the issues. And ultimately, all of this comes from criticism of people who love the game because they want to play it and enjoy it, but they can't, whether it's a bug or they're frustrated with the same game modes coming back. I think that it is a really important turning point for Apex to realize where the core player frustration is. Because, Warzone 2 is coming around the corner. That could be a huge problem for Apex if Warzone 2 has a lot of content. I think a lot of people are going to leave, considering Apex had a massive boom in players because people got sick of Warzone. Apex has a lot of work to do, I would say.
You're absolutely right there. I didn't even think about the Warzone 2 aspect. That is something which is going to cause problems for Apex when that comes out. I mean, obviously, when a brand new game comes out, or especially a Battle Royale, you're going to get people go over to that game for a bit. But if Apex do not bring out more content in the meantime, you're just going to get people staying on Warzone 2 because it could have new content. I don't know what it's going to look like. I personally think, again, it's a bit of a money trick from their point of view because we don't know a lot about it by now. This is Warzone, not Apex, so it might be a flop, Warzone 2 anyway, so Apex might be good there. But you also brought on a lot of good points there about having a look at the bugs in the game. I mean, let's talk about Loba. I mean, Loba was broken for what, 2 months? 2 months, and it's a bracelet. It's just a bracelet, an issue. I appreciate I'm not a developer, so I'm not someone which can turn around and go, yeah, it's just this, go fix it. I get that it takes time, but something like that, which is annoying the community by quite a lot, surely you should be putting your time and resources into fixing it. I mean, there was one hot topic which I spoke about a while back on my channel, which is following what Rainbow Six Siege did and Operation Health. Are you aware of Operation Health? Are you aware of how that worked? Yeah,
I am aware.
So that there. Yeah, just for the listeners then, Operation Health was a bit where they literally had a whole sort of update, and the update was they're not going to bring out new content, they're not going to do anything like that, they're just going to focus on fixing the game, and that is something which, again, maybe Apex needs to consider, fixing the issues, which will then please the wider audience, but then we have got an issue at the minute where we've got a lack of content, so I don't know when they would need to do that. Do they need to bring out the new content first, then go into like an Operation Health thing? I don't really know. But yeah, a lot of people are unhappy about the state of the game. And I think you brought in a good point. With the new season coming in, how many people are just going to ignore? How many people are just going to absolutely ignore this hashtag No Apex August and want to play the new season? Because finally, some type of content will be in the game for them to play. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Definitely.
They've really done, not the best timing on that, but I definitely get the idea behind it. I think what it would be nice for Apex to do is just to put out a blog post. It doesn't have to be from anyone specific at Respawn, just from the team, from the dev team. Don't let anyone point any fingers at any specific devs. Just say, this is what we're doing, this is how things are going, we appreciate you playing the game, this is what we're working on. They did do one blog like that for, I believe, the first anniversary of I don't remember, but it was 1 year after the game released. They actually wrote a blog post saying, hey, thanks for all the support, this is the stuff we're working on, we're looking at bringing different ways to play Apex into the game, like that was arenas, what they were hinting at. We just don't get that kind of communication anymore. I think that would solve a lot of frustration. But let's just hope that the devs are aware of these issues and, give it a couple seasons. Maybe things will change. With it being, 3+ years that the game's been out now, I do worry that they're never going to change anything. It's going to be the same schedule forever. I don't know what goes on behind the scenes, but I hope some kind of direction is made in a different direction to what's going on currently. It would be refreshing. It would bring the game to just new heights. But on the flip side, I would say it's not as atrocious as some games out there. If we look at like Halo Infinite, that flopped so hard because they released oh my god, they released a game with like no content, and the game almost still doesn't have content. Cosmetics are terrible, really overpriced. So Apex doesn't do everything wrong. It's just, they're doing a lot wrong to get on the nerves of long-term players. They just got to talk to us. They got to tell us what they're doing. I think that would make things better.
I think the biggest thing I took away from all of that is Apex Legends and the player is like a relationship. Communication is key, and we have not got that at the minute. But yeah, you're absolutely right. It's certainly not as bad as many other games out there. We have a look at quite a lot of games which came out. Let's just have a look at a game. For example, I'll put one out the top of my head. Bit of a different type of genre, but we look at H1Z1, a game which came out really, really popular. It's just died down massively. I don't even know if it exists anymore, and if anyone even plays that game. But that is a prime example of a game which was doing well at the time of release, and it's sort of gone and flopped since. But Apex Legends has kept up. You look at the views on Twitch, it still stays pretty high up on the Twitch concurrent views on Twitch, which is a good thing, because that means that it is still liked by a lot of the players. But as you've alluded to there as well, it does need some more content. It needs some more communication from the devs to keep the players happy. And I think that is the key point to take away, probably from this entire podcast today, is that we just need some more communication. And then hopefully people will be happier about it. I mean, in the comments below, if you think that there's something else we've missed today that you think would be definitely worth the devs doing, put it in the comments below. Absolutely. Because I'm sure they would, they may listen to this, or they may look at this, but it would be good to collate the comments anyway for them to have a look at. That would definitely be worth doing.
Absolutely.
It's certainly something which is worth doing.
Yeah, Respawn, just talk to us, please. Please, just have a chat. It would be nice to know what's going on. Let's hear it. Yeah, Apex is a great game. Just keep us happy. Keep the long-term players happy. Give them just feed them a little bit of info here and there, not from leaks. It would be great. This was a great chat. I love Apex. I love the game. I just really would love to see it do better. I know it could. So yeah, I guess we got a lot to talk about here. See you soon. See you for another podcast soon.
Thanks everyone. I'll see you all soon. Remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this sort of video, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Goodbye.